Hi, my name is Hannah Flack, and I'm the Director of Youth Ministry at Christ Church in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm so thankful to have been asked to respond to the question, where have you seen signs of new life in your family, congregation, or community in the midst of the pandemic? I've seen signs of new life in my congregation as they have adapted to the ever-changing world that we are living in today. By no means has it been easy. People working remotely, some sheltering alone, experiencing job loss, and the disruption of normal schedules with young adults home from college and children and youth attending virtual classes. We are all rethinking ways that we function and move through society. There's hardship, anxiety, and a lot of unknown. The question of where we see signs of new life as Christians brought to my mind a sermon that I heard in January of this year that talked about where we can root ourselves in our faith. Last week, in preparation for Holy Week, our faith development team at Christ Church created and distributed Holy Week boxes to the congregation via a drive-through in the church parking lot. The small cardboard boxes were simple. Inside were items to be taken out each day, a card with the daily liturgy and a question to consider or discuss, along with a small trinket that symbolized the lesson for the day. The boxes were made with the hope that parishioners would be able to experience Holy Week at home, but somehow feel connected to each other in the larger congregation. As I watched cars lining up through the drive-through pickup station, an overwhelming sense of pure joy radiated. Cars approached filled with so many familiar faces. Everyone seemed so happy to be there. Old, young, individuals, couples, entire families, and even pets. Some had looked forward to this all week, and others admitted that this was their first chance to put on a real outfit, even though they weren't going anywhere after, and others admitted that home was a little bit crazy. This simple offering, which a couple weeks back was not even something on our radar, was something that in our current world brought so much comfort and reassurance. Seeing one another and connecting with each other emphasized that even in times of uncertainty, we are all rooted together in our faith. In Reverend Dr. Mark Jefferson's sermon at the Rooted Conference at the beginning of this year, he painted beautifully the metaphor of being rooted in Jesus. He told a story about a plant that was growing in a pot that was way too small, and the roots had become so tangled and knotted that their ability to grow had been cut off. He made the point that often we become comfortable in our pot and need to break out of this in order to flourish. His metaphor and resounding message of hope was the reminder that, quote, God will plant us in places that we need attention, our care, and our love. Dr. Jefferson explained, and I quote, if we want to be rooted in Jesus, then going back to the ways in which the gospel touches the real world is actually what we need to do. Before Jesus says, go ye therefore, he says, go back. Go check your Christian roots. If you're going to follow me, you need to go back to the places that I found important. Look in the eyes of those in which I saw their humanity and healed them because I loved them, and I loved them because I saw them. I left the conference inspired by these images and messages, excited to go back into ministry. Fast forward a couple of months, and now I am rethinking this in a new context, and I am thinking about the following questions. How can we root ourselves in this new way of life when everything around us is changing by the hour? How can we root ourselves in things that bring life to us? I think that we see this in the images, conversations, and restored relationships that we have been able to, in a sense, replant and nourish during this time. We are able to go back to our roots, reflect, and restore, and remind ourselves of the charge as people of faith and the hope of Christ. We are called, in a sense, to go back and then reach out with love in each other in the most basic ways.